belonging. It's something that every human being has a need for from our earliest age, especially when you get into the teens. That's when belonging becomes a huge thing, because you look at little kids and on up into even middle school and stuff, they'll be very individualistic quite often and still keep their own little personalities, and they won't care. They won't worry about offending someone. They won't be offended. They'll be fine with who they are and what they like, and not worry about being cool. But as they get older, and especially those teen years, those killer teen years in high school, you want to have your identity in something, in someone, in some group where you are accepted. And we all know that. It's not really new information. It's just that is such a big thing when it comes to how we live our lives. Even for those of us who have found our God and in this walk with Him and hopefully towards Him, we have this identity crisis, so to speak, where sometimes we slip. We first come in a spiritual sense, we realize we are loved by our God. We get excited, and that's amazing. It's just that He's not as tangible in the way that we identify tangible things with, as in see, taste, and touch, speak to. Even though He's more real than all those things, He's still new. So we can slip back into our old fleshy need of being loved and accepted by something or someone or some group or some place that we can see, that we can communicate with. Even though He's just as accessible, we just haven't attained that habit yet. And plus we come into this place where these people have already laid the groundwork, so to speak. They've already been there and done that, so they can tell us what you need to do to be living that good Christian life. And so in terms of identity, our identity can go from that first love we felt for Him and realizing I'm a son of God. I'm His child. That's who I am. That's the thrill we get, the excitement, the entry point. But then when you get into your certain place, denomination, location, group, however it goes, maybe it's not explicitly explained, but eventually it becomes made clear that your identity is with us. And you want to be accepted by us, don't you? And it's very strong. It's very strong. Even though those words may not be spoken, it's very clear. And I know you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been in a church, you know what it feels like to be accepted, or to walk on that borderline, or even to cross it to where you're not accepted. And maybe you've walked away because you just got sick of it. But the thing is that you know what it's like to be accepted and not to be accepted. And where your identity is, or where your identity needs to be, is in Christ. You're His son. So therefore, whether or not this assembly, this group, this building, this denomination, this weekly meeting of people pursuing studies and readings and habits, whether or not they accept you, can't be the priority. The priority has to be all about Him. And what does He want for your life? What is He leading you to do? So the group might have these nice things for you to do. They're good things, but they're just men telling other men, humans telling other humans what we should do. What's the good thing? Let's all do this. Yeah, well, you don't want to do that? Aren't you part of the group? You want to be part of the group? Well, then you better do that. That's who you are. You're this person. You're this interdenominational name here. You're one of us now. And if you want to maintain that, then here's the things you do. And I'm not saying to just completely cast that away. I'm just saying that can't be your priority. Priority has to be, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. That means I'm a child of the Creator of the universe. My relationship is with Him. And if that fits in this organization, then that's okay. But the thing is His body is not an organization. It's an organism. It's a living thing. And so therefore all parts are connected, whether it's me to my neighbor or me to someone in Europe or wherever. That's our connection, is Jesus Christ. Not the fact that we attend the same building and wear the same uniform, because believe me, there are uniforms, and we've all seen those too. There are religious uniforms. We know them. We can look at someone and say, oh, that's a whatever the case may be. We can tell because that person has their identity in that thing, in that carnal, fleshy thing, that identity. So it becomes a matter of a choice of, do I truly walk by faith, which is trusting in God, even if I know that if I trust in Him, I might be forsaken, I might be cast away, I might be persona non grata, in other words, a non-person around people that used to accept me because I did what they wanted me to do. Can I accept that for the sake of Christ? That's the real question. What is more important to me, being accepted by them or being accepted by Him? Because He's never going to stop accepting me. He's never going to stop accepting you. The problem is if we prioritize someone else's acceptance above His, how can you receive the benefit of that? Adam and Eve were accepted of Him perfectly, and they chose to seek the acceptance of someone else. They chose to learn something, to be somebody, instead of knowing someone. Learn about someone so they could be with someone and just be with Him. And that's all this is about, is having your identity in Him, living with Him. It was so in an assembly with 50 million people, or all by yourself, because no one wants to have anything to do with you. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're a child of God, and He belongs to you, and you belong to Him. And if that's your priority, then wherever you are, 50 million or just your one single little self, you're going to be right exactly where you need to be, because you know you're a child of God.